where I've been trying to lead to, just in the last session, is to try to lead to here. The last verse of John 16, Jesus says the words, "I have overcome the world." And I guess the goal for our lives is that we not only do what Jesus was able to do, but that we become like him in our own personalities. And that doesn't mean that we become like him in his, and we're still going to be ourselves with our own personalities, our own giftings and stuff and everything, our talents and abilities and our likes and dislikes. That's not going to change. When we say we're to become like Jesus, doesn't mean we become a carbon copy, but we become alike to him. We become congruent or harmonious with him. Congruent is a good word, but it's not a nice sounding word. It's because you can be exactly congruent to someone, but on a much different scale or size scale. Congruency's got nothing to do with size. So we're to become not a carbon copy of him, but to become of the same substance. I don't really know how to say that, but of the same kind of personality, but not exactly the same personality. But there are a lot of things that will become ours, but the expression, there'll be a lot of things that are in us that are exactly like Jesus, but it's not that we become exactly like him. For example, we will become as peaceful in ourselves as he is. But it doesn't mean that we can be totally alike as each other in the sense of having the same peace as each other, but I have totally different talents to you. And the expression of my personality might be very different to you, but we'd be totally alike when it comes to issues like love, peace, joy, patience, kindness, goodness. Those overriding factors of our personality will become exactly the same. And the same with Jesus, but it doesn't mean that the expression of our life is going to be exactly the same as the expression of each of us, altogether. And I think in the end, in my understanding, the picture is that we will all become like Jesus, but in a sense, he will be the fullness and we are the part. So, but to become like him in our personalities, that's where I believe the Lord is taking us. And I just want to look at this issue of where Jesus said, "I have overcome the world," because this is a personality issue. And there's a lot of things that Jesus overcame, that he won the victory over, but this is a particular one where he says, "I have overcome the world." And in other facets of Jesus' life, and particularly in the cross and his resurrection, we know he overcame a number of things. Like he overcame sin on our behalf. Now that's not the same as overcoming the world, of course. But when he says that he overcame sin, he demolished the power of sin so that we don't have to live under that anymore, so that we can be clean and cleared of that issue. Another scripture says that he overcame the devil. And so his death and resurrection completely defeated the devil's power. There's some things in here that I still don't quite understand. I've got a book on part of this, and I've read it several times on the relevant part, but there's still parts of it where I don't fully understand how Jesus overcame the devil, except to know that he did. And now we have the authority over all of the works of the enemy. We know that. But there's another aspect of him overcoming the devil, not that he just won authority over him, but that he destroyed the power of the devil. And so somehow before the cross, Satan had a greater power over the world than he has today. So something was changed at the cross, and that's something I don't fully understand yet, except that there it is written there. And so but we know that he overcame all of the power of the devil, and now we have the power to tread on scorpions and serpents and over all of the power of the devil as well. And we have authority over him in Jesus' name. So when Jesus died on the cross and rose from the dead, the power of Satan was destroyed for us. We also know that at that time Jesus overcame death. And so the power of death was also defeated, so that now we don't suffer death the same way, what the Revelations call second death. We don't suffer it the same way. We now will live forever as God lives forever. And so there's those three things that Jesus defeated at the cross, but he also says, I have overcome the world. And the world is not the devil, although the devil is at the basis of all of the systems of the world. Death is not the world, sin is not the world, but sin is in the world, Jesus said. So when he says, I've overcome the world, that used to be a bit of a quandary to me. I wondered, what does that actually mean? I have overcome the world. So I just wanted to look into that. What did Jesus mean by that? It amuses me. He says, be of good cheer, I've overcome the world. I remember first reading at that one stage, and I thought, well, Jesus has overcome the world, and I should be happy about that. But I don't know that I am that happy about it, because I haven't overcome it. And the fact that he's overcome it sounds great. But for me, the world was still a very difficult place to live in. And of course, for all of us, it still holds its problems. He says in the earlier part of this verse, in this world you will have tribulation. And that's just one of those facts of life. This world is going to continue to throw problems at us all of our life. There's never going to be an end to it. Isn't that good news? And so when he says, be of good cheer, I have overcome the world, I think, well, that's great for you, but I haven't, and so I don't know if that's good news for me yet. But of course, in this, there's one of the issues of Jesus. We see it with him inviting Peter to walk on the water. Everything that Jesus has done, or everything that he is able to do, or everything that he will do, he invites us to be a part of it with him. So we are, as co-heirs with Christ, we inherit everything that Jesus has or ever will have. And so when he says, I have overcome the world, he's basically saying to us, not only I have overcome the world, but I've made the avenue for you to overcome the world as well. And I think probably the most difficult thing in all of our lives is in this issue of the problems that we have in the world. And they are continuous, and they harass us. When he says, in this world you will have tribulation, he's really saying as long as your heart beats, there's going to be problems. That's great news, right? I remember some years ago, Denise and I we had a Christmas in Minneapolis, and it was, I think we've only ever had 2 white Christmases, haven't we? Maybe they were both in Minneapolis, were they? Minneapolis is the only place in the States where you can be reasonably sure that it'll be a white Christmas, I think. One of the coldest places in the States. But I went out for a walk on one of the evenings before Christmas, and there was a couple of feet of snow on the ground, and I was all dressed up in a coat and gloves and everything, and I was warm enough, and not only the roads were clear because of the plows, but also the footpaths had been shoveled clear, and so I could walk along in the snow, like 2 feet of snow on the lawns and 2 feet of snow on the strip between the road and the footpath. And so I was walking along on the footpath, and it was a very cold night, but people had their reindeer lights on the roofs and all kinds of things, lights decorating their houses, and it's really nice. And so I was walking along the street looking at all these things, and it just looked so cozy. And you could see the curtains were all glowing, And so looking in the window, I can see the lights in some of the houses, and it's just all glowing kind of red and pink and whatever. And it just looks so nice and warm inside the houses, but outside freezing. And I think it was even looked nicer inside because it was so cold outside. And this stupid idea occurred to me, which Amanda calls a dad joke. You know, you have to get married and have children before you get qualified to be able to make dad jokes. And your daughters are the ones that recognize them the best. So I was walking down the street, and this joke occurred to me. It's ridiculous. It's completely stupid. But it has a point. And it just occurred to me, I thought, you know, people have got their heaters and their fires going on the inside, and they've got their what do you call it, the heating, their fireplaces, furnaces, yeah. What do you call the heating inside the house? Central heating. They've got everything going, you know, that all the houses are nice and warm on the inside. But I thought, you know, the reason why they've got all the fires going on the inside is because it's cold outside, and if you don't have a fire going inside, the cold goes inside as well. You know, like it goes through the windows and through the doors, and it'll be just as cold on the inside as on the outside if you don't have heaters on the inside. So people light their fires on the inside to warm the inside. But I thought, if everybody put their fires and their central heating outside and warm up the outside, then it would be warm automatically on the inside, right? Because if they didn't have them going, it would be cold automatically on the inside. If they put them on the outside, it would be warm inside. So why doesn't everybody put all their heating stuff outside, and then it'll be warm inside and out? It makes sense, doesn't it? Stupid joke. But isn't that? I mean, it is stupid, isn't it? Right? But you see, that's what we as Christians do. We try to warm up the outside of our life so we'll be warm on the inside. We try to make everything peaceful outside so that we can have peace on the inside. Like we sort of think, if I can just fix this problem, if I can just get a better boss, or I can just get a better job, or if I can just get more income, or if I can get my children trained properly, then I can be at peace inside myself. The only reason why I'm frustrated is because people outside of me are frustrating. So if I can fix them, then I can be at peace on the inside. You know, if I can make everything happy on the outside, then I can be happy on the inside. And so we've got this kind of thing of, you know, to fix my life, to get my life right, I need to get all of the problems out there in the world around me. I need to get them fixed. And if I can get them fixed, then I will be at peace, I'll be happy, I'll be fulfilled, I'll be content. You know, I'll live the life I want to live. The reason why I can't live it is because all of the stuff that's happening outside of me. And when Jesus said, I've overcome the world, he didn't mean that he had made everything nice on the outside. Because in fact, everything came terrible on the outside. But we try to overcome the world in the sense of trying to fix everything around our life to make everything happy and peaceful and joyful and nice. And if we can finally get it right out there, then we can be at peace on the inside. And most of our life is trying to overcome the tribulations and the problems that keep coming into our life. The good news is, it'll never happen. You will never, ever get everything outside of your life happy and right and peaceful and joyful and content. It's gonna keep being a problem. You'll just get one problem fixed and another one is going to come. There is no doubt about that. No matter what happens, Jesus' words are true. In this world you will have tribulation. And it's going to keep happening all of our lives. Here endeth the lesson. When Jesus said, I have overcome the world, what did he mean? You see, when Jesus, at his crucifixion, from the time of the Garden of Gethsemane till the time when he said it is finished,